Here's one of the clips from GrayMatter's webinar, From Data to Dollars. Here's how airport leaders are thinking about the growing importance of non-aeronautical revenue.
Coming to the real topic of from data to dollars, which really matters, isn't it? So, non-aeronautical revenues have been picking pace for quite a while now at airports. So what is your view, expert opinion about it? Maybe Nabil first, and then Brad.
Sure. I think Anupam, this perhaps over the last 20 years, I would say. So yeah, so I think airports have been looking at non-aero more seriously for a couple of reasons, right? I think generally there are limits to maximizing revenues through regulated aeronautical revenues. There is immense competition amongst airports to kind of offer airlines more competitive, compelling rates, right? So there's that inherent limit placed by that. The other thing has also been customers themselves have been increasingly, or rather having increasing expectations of the retail and F&B and the commercial experience in an airport. Um, and I think the last one, probably more recent, is after the pandemic, etc. What airports have also seen is that having a healthy mix between aeronautical and non-aeronautical revenues just gives you that kind of financial buffer as well, right? I mean, you don't necessarily depend on one versus the other. Um, and so, yeah, so I think at the end of the day, a lot of airports are now, very simplistically put, they're looking at an airport as a giant shopping mall with a runway attached to it, right? And you have passengers, I mean, and you have a captive audience that is with you for anywhere between 1 hour to 3 hours in this very confined, isolated space. And the whole idea is, how do I understand my passenger? What are their motivations for purchasing or utilizing the services within the airport? And how can I then fine tune the offerings within my airport to align very closely with those motivations and those demographic behaviors of the passenger, right? So I think airports are also moving away from just being a pure landlord to being more of a partner, right, in with the concessionaires in driving their performance. And contractual structures have also started evolving in that direction, where you're moving away from fixed rentals towards more revenue sharing kind of arrangements, right? So bottom line, it is only going to take on increasing importance in the coming years. I think top of my mind, anywhere between 25 to 35% generally non-aero in airports. Some of the mega hubs, they do tend to touch close to 50% of their total revenue in terms of non-aero. And I think that's the gold standard that a lot of airports are looking at, right? Can I achieve that perfect 50-50 balance between aero and non-aero? So I think that in and of itself just casts light on where management priorities lie today.
Absolutely. That 50-50 brings in a lot of balance and a lot of light on what you're stressing on, literally, Nabil. So, Brad, your views on this point.
Yeah, that's a great. And Nabil, I think very interesting. You point out up to 50%, in some cases even more, of the airport revenue coming in through concessionaires. I kind of look back at my background with the airlines and hospitality and what they've done with ancillary revenue streams. And whether it's airlines or hotels, their their percentage of revenue from ancillary streams is much lower, 15% to 25%, maybe at some hotels, 30%. And they spend millions and millions of dollars on that revenue stream to optimize it, to tailor that. That's where the customer experience happens. That's where there's opportunity for growth beyond kind of the basic revenue stream. And so, if you kind of bring airports into that picture and you think about the volume of revenue that comes in through your concessionaires, it seems like a tremendous opportunity. Um, the airlines and the hotel business, they've got very comprehensive customer views. So they're able to go out and tailor products and tailor their offerings, and even, present those offerings a certain way through a booking process or as you're traveling. And again, I think that's where there's just this tremendous opportunity, and the airports, I think, looking to some of the other travel verticals as a benchmark, tells you there's a massive opportunity. Just as an example, on a globally average, ancillary revenues for an airline passenger per passenger are approximately 45 US dollars. Hotels are similar, around $45. And in the airport space, from concessions, we're at about $15 on average per passenger handle. So imagine the opportunity there to optimize and grow and really focus on this part of the business. So I think it's an exciting time. We've got a lot of upside in the near future ahead of us.
To explore all the topics, concerns, and pain points discussed in our industry webinar, click the link below.